they're making apes, which we know what they look like. Thanos, believe it or not, Titans don't exist, to my knowledge. So they had to create this character from the comic books and bring him to life without making him look too corny. And then you want to talk beyond that, the set pieces were mostly CGI. Most of the times they're in a city, or when they were on Titan, the planet, those weren't real. Those were CGI. The best CGI is the CGI you don't notice. And even though First Man CGI was more minimal and it didn't look jarring at all because you don't have to do too crazy stuff. This reminds me a lot of when Ex Machina won Best Visual Effects because their main character was a robot and looked so flawless. And I believe it beat out a Marvel movie. I think it might have been Doctor Strange. I want to double check that. But yeah, this movie, First Man, do I deny that it had good visual effects? No. But do I deny that it should have beat Infinity War? 100%. This movie, it was good, but the award was about visual effects, not about the narrative. And even though the Oscars don't want to include movies like Marvel, they're kind of being forced to these days. And yeah, they should have taken it home. So just a point I touched on just a second ago, Ex Machina beat Star Wars The Force Awakens, Mad Max Fury Road, and The Martian. So yeah, big blockbuster, big budget movies that dedicate a lot of their budget to CGI. Ex Machina beating because its CGI was so subtle, and I think that's what the Oscars may be going for, but I really wanted Infinity War to be an Oscar-winning movie because it deserves it. In my opinion, it should have been nominated for Best Picture, but with that bias aside. All right, that is just about gonna do it for our Oscars recap. And with that being said, we are going to roll credits. All right, thank you guys so much for joining me on today's show. I apologize for my raspy voice. I apologize for Mike not being here, but we all know he would if he could. But yeah, flunked with work, all that crazy stuff, college, all that. Just some announcements for the show. I mentioned them last week. But yeah, make sure you're following us on Twitter at BlockBreakPod. We're going to be doing a giveaway once we hit 1,000 downloads. Last I checked, we were just under 700. So 2 episodes a week if we keep getting them out. If you subscribe on iTunes, subscribe on Spreaker, make sure you're downloading the episodes. Rate, review, comment, all that good stuff. Tweet us in your questions. Send us a DM what you want us to talk about on the show. We want to do an all exclusive viewer question segment. Viewer question episode if possible. So make sure you tweet us in your questions, comments, concerns, all that good stuff. What movies you want us to cover. That's another announcement I have to make rather than reiterating announcements from the past. On Friday, we are covering Hell or High Water. Nominated for an Oscar. Quick movie, hour 40. If you want to watch before we cover it, feel free. It's on Netflix. And really surprised by this movie. Small scale, Jeff Bridges, Chris Pine, Ben Foster. But really surprised me. Really enjoyed it. So if you want to tune into that movie and then tune into the show Friday, we'll be covering it in depth, spoilers and all, talking about best performances, best scenes, all that good stuff. And yeah, as I mentioned before, I'm working as a PR coordinator for Action Movie Anatomy. I'm sure some of you listeners are familiar with Ben Bateman and Andrew Guy's work. They also have a show on Collider, The Action Guys, and they actually just did a review on Action Movie Anatomy for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That was today. So make sure you check that out if you want a good in-depth discussion. They had a guest, Koy Jandro. I apologize if I mispronounced that name. And he was a delight to have on screen because when the podcast is live, it's on screen and then it's just audio. But he knows his stuff, and it was great to listen to him talk in depth about Spider-Man. So make sure you guys check that out. And yeah, with that being said, make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at Liam Crowley714. Mike is everywhere at MikeGillis25. The podcast's Twitter is at BlockBreakPod. Subscribe on iTunes, get us to 1,000 downloads, and then we will be doing a Blu-ray giveaway. So make sure you tune in every week, twice a week, news on Wednesdays, reviews on Fridays, all that good stuff. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you on Friday.